Hi everyone, it's Kai from WCC, and today we're going to look at the more fun side of Bermuda. We talked about the meta that is Riviere in the previous video. We talked about the meta that is Riviere in the one of our articles that we have posted up from Mada Yuan. Thanks to him. Sorry if I butcher your name, but famous Bermuda player from Malaysia, so go check that video article out. And then now we're going to look at the more fun archetypes and explore them a bit more. So first we're going to talk about Coral, then we're going to talk about Pacifica, and then we'll talk about Melody. And although you might see there's a Riviere base already on the screen, there is a good reason for that. We're going to look at Riviere Coral. This is the hype beast that has been going on since Crystal Melody's inception into the West. For some reason, people have just been going, Riviere Coral got to flex with those 8 VRs, and you can flex with 8 VRs all the time, and we'll just tell you how. So let's get started. What are you running in Riviere Coral? And pretty simple, you're running 4 grade 3 Rivieres. Now, Riviere, since its inception way back, is all about getting thick, getting fat, and drawing a lot of cards. So with the first skill of Coral, she is just, if you soul blasted for this turn, she gets a crit. All your Coral units get a crit, a base crit actually, so it doesn't work with Force 2. They're all base 2 crit, so just go Force 1, and that is just fine, because when you go Riviere, you also want to go Force 1, so there's that nice little synergy there. And also, her second effect is very interesting in that you can Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 2, and you may pick a normal unit from your Rearguard circle and your drop zone, and put them into your hand. If you put back a Coral unit, this unit gets 15k. So basically, you don't need to put Force Marker on the Vanguard as soon as you want, because she basically gets that 15k and hits those nice numbers already, so you can freely put it on a Rearguard. But those normal units that you return, they can be absolutely anything. So if a Riviere, a top idle Riviere, went to the drop zone or landed on the field somehow early on, you can just bounce them back. You can bounce back your Corals to soul charge more and regenerate your soul. So very nice effect. Just make sure you put back a Coral to get that extra pressure. We're also running grade 2 Coral, because we've talked about this card before. Quick reminder, Soul Charge 1 when it comes into play. Your Vanguard is Coral, Soul Charge another one. And then it has the Soul Blast 2 effect, which gains 10k, and then 5k more if your Vanguard is Coral. So in this deck, it's basically getting really fat. It's generating a soul, and then easy combo with your Vanguard, Soul Blast 4, she'll get a crit and just smack face really hard. And then lastly, you have the grade 1 Coral on Vanguard. When she's placed and you have a Coral in your soul, you may draw a card and put a card into your soul, so not really a +1. But then her Rearguard effect is that when she comes to play, you can Soul Charge 1. If your Vanguard is Coral, you can Soul Charge 1, and this gets a 5k, so she becomes a 13k boost. And she basically hits numbers as well. What else are we running? We're running 4 Caro. Caro is just really good. Whenever you want to keep on getting your grade 3 Vanguard, you just have Caro. She needs Soul Blast 2, but in this deck it just doesn't matter at all, because you're running a Coral engine, and that just soul charges for you, and you basically just keep on getting your Aurora Star Corals, or you just keep getting back your top idle Rivieres. Doesn't matter. Whatever one you have, you can just bash face of it. Lastly, we're running Aurora. Aurora's just this great hand filter early on at grade 1. She's just been lasting for ages, and then we have 2 Stezzes, because returning grade 3s is great, but you know, playing it down early as a boost to confirm damage, just hand filter as well, is pretty decent too. And lastly, we're running the Riviere starter, because the Riviere starter is just better than the grade 1 Riviere is just better than the grade 1 Coral. That's just it. Alright, Riviere will set up your hand, filter you. The grade 1 one will draw you an extra card, but then you have the soul charge, so it's not really a definite plus. But with this comboing with the grade 1 Riviere, it is a good time. Alright. For our trigger lineup, we are running 4 heal, 4 draw, and we're running 4 crits so far, but our last 4 slots, we're also running 4 more crit. This is because Coral gets crit, and by getting more crit, if you trigger a crit on your Coral and they no guard, they're going straight up to 4 into lethal range for your Riviere. Or if your Riviere checks a crit at some point in time on one of her restands, you're very, very close to winning the game. If a Riviere checks a crit on their turn and you don't guard that, if you take 2 damage that turn, you are on the road to losing pretty quickly. And although people do advocate for 6 draw, 6 crit, as people learn to play against Riviere, they know how to guard slightly better. They know when to guard. And then when you're not critting, you're instead hitting draws, you're not actually winning the game. You're not pushing for the game. This is going to be more apparent as you go into Dragon's Vanity meta, when you're against things like Revan, Claret, and Narukami, where slowing down the game means that you're also having a big chance of losing too. So you want to end the game quicker and quicker as people get better. So that is all for Riviere Coral. Let's move on to Pacifica and how I want to build that. So enough of Riviere and Coral now. Let's move on to Pacifica. Pacifica is this low-key sleeper deck in my opinion. I think it's really good, especially right now before Dragon's Vanity hits, where you don't have to face Narukami. But not many people are going to get on this hype train simply because the hype beast is just Riviere and everything with Riviere. So we're going to look at Pacifica now. Let's start with what is in Pacifica. We are definitely running 4 Top Idol Pacifica. This card is Soul Blast 1, and then you get the following effects based on the number of Top Idol Pacificas on your field. If you have 1 or more, it gets 10k and a drive check. If you have 2 more, you get 2 imaginary force markers. And then if you have 3, your opponent has to guard with 3 cards this turn from their hand. So basically, they're just going to take a bunch of damage. Now, it's kind of easy to get at least 3 Pacificas. So 1 on the Vanguard and 2 on Rearguard. So getting that 2 imaginary gift force is already pretty good. It just accelerates the game pretty quickly. You get a front row full of force, and it's just pretty annoying to deal with. But getting that last one, you basically need like 2 cards rather than just 1. So I think it's quite doable, because especially when you have some of the support like Ursula. Ursula, when it comes to play, counterblast 1, look for your Top Idol Pacifica from your drop zone and your deck and put them into your hand. So basically you get 2. So with this card, you're getting 2 Pacificas, and you're just on your way to winning. We're only running 3 because it's a pure support card. The other card we're also running is 4 Caro. Why? Because this is a deck that just wants us to search for more Pacificas. Search for a specific grade 3 when you're on a grade 3. So Caro just always does that well. Do notice that this will kind of conflict with your Soul Blast for Top Idol Pacifica, because she does require Soul Blast 2, but the effect is actually just too good to pass up. And we're also running grade 1 Top Idol Pacifica support. So when it comes to the play on Vanguard or Rear, you may counterblast 1 and search top 7 for a Top Idol Pacifica and a for an Ursula as well, and then shuffle your deck. And if you and your opponent are on grade 1, you can Soul Blast 1 instead of counterblasting 1. So overall, it's a pretty decent effect. The reason we're running this over other supports that aren't included in this deck simply because it has 2 targets. It has Pacifica and Ursula, and they both kind of support each other pretty well. Not limited to Vanguard or Rearguard, and it's kind of free if you're going second, which is a nice plus as well. The other thing is that if this hits a Pacifica and an Ursula, you've basically succeeded in getting like your 4 Pacifica count. Unless one goes to damage zone, then tough luck. So what else are we running in this build? We're also running 4 Lieselets, because Lieselet value increases whenever you have good targets to hit. So in the Riviere deck, Lieselot doesn't really have great targets to hit, so her value is just there as an extra beta early on, which is fine. It's fine, it's not bad, but that means there are other cards that are kind of more available to you. But in this deck, it can hit big. It hits Ursula, good stuff. It hits Pacifica, good stuff. It hits a Caro, not good, not good. That's the only bad target. It hits Serio, very nice. You can get more cards there. So has this great number of good targets to hit, but also it serves another function, is that you can put the card into soul as well. So getting that 1 extra soul means possibly 1 more turn of Pacifica being active and just doing what it does best. It fills soul, and that is what we really need. Now, the last bit of cards we're also running in this deck is just the whole Riviere engine. Why? Because Riviere is just that good. Think of Riviere as like the Ezel of a standard. You can high roll with Riviere and just win the game. You draw a bunch of cards with Riviere, so that means you can draw all your Pacificas as well. If you want to go Riviere into Pacifica, if you can go Pacifica into Riviere after they get rid of all your Pacificas, now you just smash their Vanguard heaps of times with Riviere. And then grade 1 Riviere is just like the best, alright? It's literally the best. It just like gets rid of cards from your deck, it filters your cards from your deck, and sometimes stuff pops out from your soul when you ride grade 2, and it's all good. And your soul gets filled up when you ride Riviere multiple times, so lots of great things happening. And then we're running 3 Steza because we have a big grade 3 count. We have 11 grade 3s, so Steza kind of works well. Gets you the early damage, boost, and gets you hand filter. Very nice. And then lastly, we are running the Riviere starter because Riviere starter just combos well with grade 1 Riviere. Pacifica doesn't have a starter, so you basically just play whatever starter you want. So you might as well just run Riviere. You can convince your opponent you're running Riviere, and then suddenly you ride like a Serio, something, and they're like, oh, thank God it's not Riviere, and then, surprise, ride grade through Riviere and bash their face 50 times, so it's all good. Riviere is just really nice. That's why we're running a Pacifica. Although I did say this is a Pacifica deck, you might as well just put Riviere in it. So with our trigger lineup, we were running 8 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal, same as before. The main thing we're running 8 crit here as well is that Pacifica does get a triple drive, so getting 2 crits off that triple drive means you win, pretty much, so it's pretty nice. Draws are nice, but hey, come on, you have triple drive Pacifica. Again, you get a crit with like Riviere, you also win too. So that is it, that's Pacifica in a nutshell. Let's move on to Melody, the new Melody cards that got released and how it buffs up the new deck. Alright lads, let's take a look at the new Melody deck. Now, Melody from before is pretty simple. It was like the dominating deck back then. Does it dominate now? Let's take a look. Alright, what is in Melody? We have the old Melody grade 3s. We've got your 4 Sonatas, we have 4 Caros. But we're not running Finas anymore. Why is that? Because Fina is just not great in this format. It was good before when the format was slower and things don't retire as much. But now when you face a non-Rivi deck, which is probably not often if your meta has just gone full Riviere hype train. But when you randomly face your Tachikaze and you randomly face a Hyuga, if they still exist, then you know your Fina is pretty bad. Just disappears from the field, never stays. And then later on when you play against Narukami, when that gets released, your Fina is just definitely not staying. So we have to go back to the basics. We have to go back to the good stuff. And there's 4 Sonata, 4 Caro. Sonata makes your board fat. Caro makes your board fat and also turns everything into a booster, so al dente, right? What other stuff do we have? Grade 2s, we now have the new Sonata, which kind of makes your field kind of fat. Not as fat as the grade 3, but it's fine because it's grade 2 and has Melody. And then we also have 4 of the new Caro. Now why do we have 4 of the new Caro? Because it's got Melody and it searches your grade 3s. I think I've said it many times in this video why Caro is so good. And again, this is a deck that wants multiple grade 3s. And not just for riding, but also for playing onto the field and making things big. So Caro is the lady. I was about to say the lad, but the lady. All right, and she has Melody, so all good. And then we have our old grade 1 engine because we have Aurora, we have Steza. Aurora's just great hand filter, will get you the cards you need. And then we have the Steza 2 for just putting back those grade 3s and just, you know, beating early. And then all up, we also run a Riviere engine because, yeah, Riviere's good. High rolls, like an Ezel deck in standard, and wins the game. Grade 3 Riviere. So the funny thing about Melody deck, right, is that you actually don't really care much about what's on your Vanguard because if any of these Melody deck cards exist on the rearguard circle anyway, your rearguard circle is massive. And then your Vanguard can just be a Riviere that just bashes face like 50 times. So everything hits big, everything hits like a Riviere, and then Riviere draws you a bunch of cards. So that's good too. Builds soul when it re-rides, yeah. And then grade 1 Riviere is just amazing as well, so thins your deck. Yeah, so I don't know much to say. Riviere is a great card. We're also running the grade 0 Riviere, like I've said in the other 2 deck types, because you just run grade 1 Riviere is also that good too. You don't have a starter with Melody, so you just might as well run this. So what you might see here is that we're not running Sierre. Sierre does require Soul Blast to get her effect, and although you have an okay amount of targets, and you have more targets than you have before, who actually cares? Who actually cares about Sierre? Like, do you actually care about your card being attacked now compared to before? You kind of don't. You're not on Finas, so the value for that has diminished. You don't have much soul charge in this deck, so that is one thing you have to be careful of. If you use a grade 3 Caro, you are not likely going to be able to use a grade 2 Caro. So you have to be mindful of what you use. But again, yeah, you have Rivieres. High roll with Riviere first, or high roll with Riviere after you've bashed with a bunch of Melody units on the field, and then win the game. And then, surprise, surprise, we're running 8 crit 4 draw, because hitting crits is good. Welcome to standard Vanguard. Alright, pick the yellow, pick the crits, pick the yellow hair, blonde hair, Riviere. Yeah, that's how you win the game. That's how you win the game. Sonata's also got yellow hair too, so yeah, she's pretty good. Excel Circle's also yellow. Wow, this is crazy. But yeah, that's the thing. The only weakness of this deck is before you would run Force 2, but now you can't really run Force 2 because you're running Riviere, so you have to run Force 1. That kind of makes the deck a bit slower, but that's fine because Riviere deck makes the deck faster. So you've kind of got that covered. So that's all in all the entirety of the other archetypes of Bermuda. Is this a troll? I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. Maybe it's not a troll. Maybe Riviere is just that good. Maybe I'll make more deck archetypes later. Will they be the correct deck archetypes? I don't know. I'll leave it up to you to decide. But there's actually still more to talk about Bermuda. I actually played against a bunch of Bermuda decks while in Japan, and my mind got blown at the amount of Riviere decks I did face and the amount of Riviere decks I didn't face. So, see you in the next video, guys. Bye-bye, and I'm upside down. Bye.